Hi, it's Jim here. I've put together this little video because I wanted to talk a little bit about one of the aspects of the Design for Happiness, which you may have downloaded from the website. And that aspect that I want to talk about today is the change one thing, just changing one thing within your life which will have the biggest impact upon you and upon your happiness. And one of the major principles of change one thing is reframing what it is that you want to change so that it can be sustained and it can resist some of the influences that come from the outside world. So some of the things that people would say that they would want to change within their life, they may say, I want to lose weight. They'll say, I want less work to do. I want to be able to control my kids. I want to not have my partner or husband, wife shout at me so much. Now that's great. You know that's fine to have those things as your aims, as the things that you want to change. But the problem is there'll always be things that get in the way of that. You know, there'll always be days when your husband, partner, spouse is having a bad day and they're stressed and they're going to take it out on you, they're going to shout at you. You can't eradicate that. Similarly, bringing your kids under control. Kids shouldn't be controlled anyway, but you can't set their behaviour. You won't be able to say every single day your children are going to behave like little angels. And similarly, something like losing weight. There'll be times of the year when it's difficult to lose weight. If it's Christmas, you're going to eat more, you're going to drink more. There'll be times when you can't always exercise. You might, if you hurt yourself or your job demands that you're away and you can't get to the gym or go running or do the things that you do. All of these things are going to have an impact on your ability to lose weight. What was the other thing? Less work to do or being stressed at work. Again, your workload's always going to fluctuate. There are going to be weeks when maybe you've got important projects on and it's going to be difficult. Similarly, do you want to completely eradicate stressful situations from work? Some of the best work that we do, some of the things that we're most proud of in our lives come with a dose of stress alongside it. So when I talk about changing, reframing those things, we need to make them sustainable. So for example, let's take the weight loss one for starters. You know, we've already said that there are going to be factors that might prevent you from being able to sustain a diet or an exercise plan. And similarly, what happens when you've lost the weight? If you set a target, say I want to lose a stone in the next 6 months, what happens at the end of that 6 months? You know, then your focus has got to change. Then it has to be something else. What happens if you don't achieve that? If you might get depressed because you haven't reached the goal that you set. So a much better way of rephrasing that change, rather than to say I want to lose weight or I want to lose a specific amount of weight, would be to say I'm going to take control of my weight. I'm going to be in control of my weight. From now on, from this point in time onwards, I'm going to be in control of it. And then if there are fluctuations, if you can't get to the gym, you can't exercise, or if there are weeks when you seem to eat more than you usually do, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you haven't lost the prescribed amount that you're looking to lose in that period of time, because you're in control and you know you've got control of your weight. And next week, tomorrow, you'll make adjustments and you'll stay in control. The other example was saying I want to be able to control my kids. Well, a better way of phrasing that change would say I can manage my children's behaviour. I can manage their behaviour. So if they are acting like little rat bags, you can manage that. You're in control of yourselves. You don't react badly. You don't get stressed. You don't start screaming and shouting and threatening them with all kinds of things. But you can manage it. You can manage their behaviour. You can respond to fluctuations in their behaviour. Respond to fluctuations in their mood. You know, one day they might be tired and it makes them ratty. But if you're in control and you can manage their behavior, then you can deal with that, and then you don't get stressed, and everybody enjoys a much better relationship. Um, Talking of relationships, the one about being able to stop your partner from shouting at you. Well, again, we say, let's rephrase that change and say, well, actually, what I have is I enjoy a great relationship with my partner. That's the change I want to make. I don't want to stop them shouting at me. I want to have a good relationship with them. So if they are having a bad time, if they are stressed, then I can support them. And similarly, they can support me because we have that great relationship. We communicate, um, and there are fewer arguments. And again, that's one of those situations where it can cope with the ups and downs. It can cope with fluctuations. It's more sustainable. And similarly, it's something that you can do right here and now. You can start from this point in time right now. You don't have to wait until the next argument before you try and bring that into effect. You don't have to wait until a rocky patch for you to try and make that change. But you're trying to preempt some of that. The other one was talking about work, being able to have less work to do or be less stressed at work. Well, a better way to rephrase that change would be to say, I manage my workload, or I can manage the levels of stress that I feel at work. But a better one is to say I can manage my workload, because then if the workload fluctuates, you can do what you need to do to be able to manage that. And if it does cause some stress, you know that you've got it under control. The important thing to remember with the idea of reframing or rephrasing the changes is there's always things that you can learn. So you could rephrase it in that way, that I will learn to be able to do this, I'll learn to be able to do that. You can't change other people. So you can't say, I'm going to change my kids, or I'm going to change my partner. You can't change other people. The only thing that you can change, and the only thing that you can manage and take control of, is your own responses, the way that you respond to other people. So if you're reframing a change relating to other people, it's about managing the way that you respond to them, changing the way that you respond to make it positive. And again, that's something that you can do from now onwards. You don't have to wait for a point in time when that needs to kick in. You can start now and you can practice, and then it will just become second nature. And what tends to happen, you'll find, is if you adjust the focus of your change, so it becomes about managing something, or about learning something, or about taking control of something, changing the way that you respond to something, you make that the focus of your change. And then what it is that you originally set out to achieve, say the weight loss, for example, that just becomes a side effect. That, by taking control of your weight, taking control of what you eat, control of how much exercise you do, the losing weight just becomes a side effect, and you don't have to make that your focus. You don't then have to become stressed and anxious about how much you weigh on a day-to-day basis, whether or not you've lost the 2 pounds this week that you set out to lose. That just becomes something that happens as a byproduct of the change. Similarly, the relationship you may have with your partner. If you say that you enjoy a great relationship with them and you make that the focus of your change, then what you'd originally said about wanting to reduce the number of arguments or stop them shouting at you, again, that just becomes a byproduct of it. That's almost a symptom of making that change, that reduction. By having a great relationship with them, the arguments are reduced, or at least they become manageable. They don't become a source of anxiety. So I hope that helps to give you some idea as to how you can go about reframing some of those changes. The essence is making them a change that you can start right away. So you can bring in an element of mindfulness to it. You can start right now, right in this moment in time, and continue it. And it's something that's sustainable, and something that isn't going to crumble when things fluctuate. If there is changes that are outside of your control, because you can't control other people. So the change that you instigate, it needs to be phrased in a way that is adaptable, and it can change and it can adjust and it can cope with rocky terrain. So I hope you found that useful. Look out for more videos coming up on the site, which will explore some of the other areas and hopefully flesh things out and make it much more easy for you to adopt. So thanks.